What if you only needed one setup per day to make consistent money trading? No overtrading, no chasing the market, just one clean setup based on supply and demand. And in this video, I'm going to break down the exact strategy I use step by step and how I use it to stay consistent in the markets. Now, I do want to say most traders lose because they take too many trades. They're constantly in the market, forcing setups that aren't there. But everything changed for me when I simplified. Now I focus on one high probability setup per day, and that's it. But real quick, as always, before we hop into this, if you guys do find value in today's video, make sure to smash that like button, as well as clicking that subscribe and that bell icon. It would mean the absolute world to me. And if you haven't, make sure to join the free Discord. That link will be down in the description. But let's go ahead and let's hop into it. Now, for this strategy is built on one concept. And that concept is that price moves from supply to demand and from demand to supply. That's how markets actually work. I don't care about SMT divergence into an inverse fair value gap, into a retracement into the 82% fib, which isn't even an actual fib. And I'm not targeting sell side liquidity or buy side liquidity, right? I'm not using indicators to find these levels. I'm not guessing to find these levels. It is simply understanding institutional orders, where they are sitting, and waiting for price to trade to those institutional orders to take our trades. So simplifying it, it is just understanding where buyers and sellers are sitting within the market. And this is by far the easiest strategy and the most accurate strategy to start making money. So what is supply and demand? I want to give you guys a very simple explanation on what these two things are. Supply is an area where sellers stepped into the market aggressively and pushed price lower, and demand is an area where buyers stepped into the market aggressively and pushed the market higher. What you'll usually see to identify these levels is strong moves away from that area, which then creates an imbalance within price, or also known as a sharp reaction, whether it be to the upside or to the downside. And a key tip for you guys, the stronger the move away from the zone, the stronger that level usually is. And before we continue deeper into this video, I do want to say real quick, if you guys are looking to get funded, I highly suggest checking out my favorite firm, Apex Trader Funding. Not only are they offering 85% off right now, but they just launched a whole new website with new trading plans that consist of end of day drawdown instead of intraday drawdown, no payout denials, no MAE rule, and another big one, 50% consistency instead of 30%. So again, if you guys do want to check out Apex and get 85% off any account, make sure you guys check out the link down in the description, but also make sure to use discount code Brandon in all caps. But let's hop back into the video. Now, here is how to actually draw these zones. And here is what to look for. We want to look for a strong impulsive move within the market. We then want to identify the base before the move. So the base is also known as the basing candle. So when we get an impulsive move, and you guys will see this, when we get an impulsive move to the upside, we want to look one candle to the left, and that's going to be our basing candle. Or if we get a strong and aggressive move to the downside, again, we want to look one candle to the left, and that's going to be our basing candle. From there, all we have to do is mark the zone where price left aggressively. That's it. You don't need 20 zones on your chart. You just need the cleanest ones. Now, I do want to emphasize this. Focus on higher time frame zones first, and then you refine your entries on the lower time frame. The time frames that I plot these levels, the 30-minute, the 45-minute, the hour, 2-hour, 3-hour, and the 4-hour. I do not plot supply and demand on anything lower than a 30-minute time frame. So let's go ahead, let's zoom out, and let's find some of these supply and demand zones. All right, so if we're looking on the 3-hour time frame right now, the very first thing that we are looking for to identify a supply zone is a larger than aggressive move to the downside. To find a demand zone, we're looking for a larger than average move to the upside. So again, large impulsive candles to the upside or to the downside. Once you identify that impulsive candle, you then want to look one candle to the left. That one candle to the left has to be the opposite color of that impulse candle. So if we have a large and aggressive move down, we want to have a opposite color candle to the left. So I'm just going to say this blue candle is a green candle because that's really what it is. And I'm going to refer to the black candle as a red candle because that's really what that is. So we have a large and aggressive move down right here. So a large red candle here. We then want to look one candle to the left, all right? That one candle to the left has to be a small green candle. Now, as far as like small green, it's kind of subjective to how big the red candle is. So there's not like a certain threshold, I would say. It's kind of subjective, and hopefully when I plot these on the chart, it will, help you guys visually see that. But as we can see, large move down, small green candle to the left, we simply plot the lower wick to the upper wick, and then we project our zone to the right. And notice what we rejected right off of, that supply zone. Same thing over here. Large red candle to the downside, small green candle to the left, mark the high, mark the low, project it to the right. That's our supply zone. So when we trade up into supply, we are only looking for rejects. That's it. We are not looking for uptrend entries when price is trading in supply. Only rejects. Same thing over here. Large and aggressive move down. Look one candle to the left, small green candle. So again, we're going to take the lower wick to the upper wick, and then we're going to project it to the right. So that is how you are going to mark your supply zones. Now, as far as demand zones, we are going to look for a larger than aggressive move to the upside. Look one candle to the left. That one candle to the left, the basing candle, has to be a small red candle. So now what we're going to do, mark the upper wick to the lower wick of that red basing candle, and then project it to the right, and that is going to be your demand zone. So again, what this is showing is these are unfilled institutional buy or sell orders. So in supply, they are unfilled institutional sell orders. In demand, they are unfilled institutional buy orders. So when price trades back into these areas, we are either looking to go short for supply or we are looking to go long for demand. And the market simply trades from each one of these levels to the next level. That's how the market moves. Let's go to the 1 hour, see if we can find any new zones. We actually had a lot. I don't know if it's going to show it on TradingView, but it shows it on Thinkorswim. Yeah, so let's pull up Thinkorswim. So we can see that we do have this demand zone from over here. This is my auto supply and demand indicator. If you guys want to check it out, I will be leaving that link down in the description. It automatically plots supply and demand exactly like I would, and you can see that it nailed it today. But if we head on over to a clean chart and we go back to ES and we go ahead and we delete all this. If we go to, I believe it was the 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour. Never mind, not the 1 hour. The 2 hour, there we go. We can see that we have a large and aggressive move to the upside. Look, one candle to the left, we have our small red candle. So again, we mark the upper wick, the open, as well as the lower wick, and that is our demand zone. We also have it on the 3 hour, maybe not, 4 hour. Yep, 4 hour. Big move up, small red candle. Again, this is going to be our area, upper wick, open, lower wick, and then I think it was also like a 30 or a 45 minute. But this would be our demand zone, right? And this, I was actually able to catch a trade based off the NQ demand today for about 65 points. When we traded down into it, we started to get a reaction off of it. I noticed within the order flow that buyers were stepping into the market. So as a result, I went long on this candle right here, somewhere down in this zone, and was able to capture this move up right here on the NASDAQ futures. Now you can see that we have traded lower into the zone, and I believe so we ended up filling it on NQ, but ES still has some more room that it could drop down into the zone. And again, you can see that we held this portion of the zone right here. So when it comes to actually trading these supply and demand zones, it is higher probability to take the trade either at the upper wick in demand or at the open in demand of that candle. You'll just notice that a majority of the time, that is where price is going to react. Or if we're trading in supply, it is higher probability to take the trade if we were going short in supply at the lower wick of that supply zone or the open of that supply zone. So again, the candle that forms it, the lower wick and the open. Or in demand, as mentioned, it's going to be that upper wick as well as the open of that demand zone. And really the rest comes down to waiting for price to trade to the level, which is where a lot of traders go wrong. They're not patient, but you have to be patient with supply and demand because it's not always going to be there. But then also we don't test these levels every single day, right? This is the first time that we actually tested a really good demand zone this entire week. So we want to wait for price to trade to this level. Now from there, we are looking for proper confirmation to actually take the trade. And proper confirmation, all that comes down to is bullish price action when price trades down into demand, or bearish price action when price trades up into supply. So if we trade down to demand, we start to get long lower wicks, bullish hammers, bullish engulfing, dragonfly dojis. I don't know if I said long lower wicks already, but long lower wicks, that's showing that buyers are present at that area, right? Or if we trade up to supply and we start getting long upper wicks, bearish engulfings, gravestone dojis, bearish hammers, etc., that is showing initiation from the sellers at that supply zone. And that's exactly what we want to see. Equally, I would like to see an elevation in the volume, because if we are trading with real institutional orders, when we trade into these supply and demand zones, when we trade with real institutional orders, they're the ones that are putting volume into the market. So if we trade to a key area of demand, right, we get the bullish price action, and then we start to notice an elevation in the volume as well. Well, that is clearly telling us that institutional buy orders are getting filled. Same thing for supply, right? Price trades up into our supply zone and we get bearish price action, but also we start to notice an elevation in the volume. Well, that's telling us that those institutional sell orders are getting hit. So again, all we need to do in the market, plot supply and demand levels, wait for price to trade to those areas, look for proper confirmation in the price action and volume, and then the only other thing is using basic risk management. And that's what not a lot of people talk about, is the risk management aspect. The candle that confirms my trade, my stop loss is always on the opposite side. So on that NQ trade today, I was risking probably about like 20, 25 points. And again, it went up 65 points from where I entered. So that is a fantastic risk to reward. But if you're risking 10 points and you trim at 7 points, that does not make sense. With this strategy, we always want to look for bare minimum a 1-to-1 risk to reward. If you don't get a 1-to-1 risk to reward, it does not make sense to take that trade. So again, risk management is going to be very important with any trading strategy. Once I get that 1 to 1.5 hour trade, I trim my position and I put my stop loss at break even. And then from there, that's where I look to capture 2, 3, 4 hour trades. And remember too, if the setup is not there, you don't trade it. Like I said, this does not present itself every single day in the market. This is the first solid zone that we hit this entire week. And I was waiting for that NQ level all morning, and it finally hit it, and I was able to take advantage of it and make money, which is amazing. But again, keep in mind, it's not always there. So stay patient, wait for price to trade to these key areas. If it doesn't, obviously don't take the trade. If it does, you can take the trade. And I get asked this all the time, Brandon, why does this strategy work? Well, the strategy works because you're literally trading with where the institutions are. Again, remember, these are unfilled institutional orders. The institutions move the market. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not trading tens of thousands of futures contracts, right? I wish I was, but I'm not. So I'm not the one moving the market. It is the institutions that are moving the market. So that's why this strategy works. You're trading with the institutions. They move the market. And remember, do not chase the price. You're waiting for price to come to you. And when you only take one trade per day, you eliminate 90% of your trading mistakes. But that is going to wrap up this video. So if you guys did find value, make sure to smash that like button, as well as clicking that subscribe and that bell icon. It would mean the absolute world to me. Everybody have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.